I spent 12 years making my husband's family look decent on paper. It took them 5 seconds to erase me from my own marriage. The final proof of my in-laws' anniversary program hit my inbox 2 hours before the guests arrived, and my name was at the bottom of the page, smaller than the wine pairing, in a line that read, "Special. Thanks to Vivian Ellis for design assistance." Above it, where my name had always been my husband's name, sat next to my best friends Vivian Ellis and Camille Rowe on behalf of the Ellis family. Behind the private club service desk, the printer hummed warm paper sliding into a tray that smelled like ink and hot plastic. Through the open ballroom doors, I heard Catherine Ellis correcting a waiter about the white roses. My mother-in-law had planned this anniversary dinner for 6 months. I had built the parts that made it look effortless. The invitations, place cards, table numbers, and family story cards were mine. I had rewritten Edward and Catherine's Tybee storm story 3 times until Catherine said it sounded family enough. Now the program had turned me into the help. June Bell, the club coordinator, stood beside me with a clipboard against her chest. "Mrs. Ellis," she asked, "do you want to approve this version?" I looked at the host line again. Vivian Ellis and Camille Rowe. The words sat there politely, like they had every right to be there. "Who sent this wording?" I asked. June clicked through the job notes. The latest change request came from Mrs. Ellis, with Camille copied. She paused. "Your husband replied too." "What did he say?" June swallowed. "He wrote, 'Vivian already knows. Go ahead.'" Across the ballroom, Adrian stood near the bar, laughing at something Camille had said. He wore the charcoal suit I had picked up from the tailor that morning because he forgot. Camille stood close enough that her sleeve brushed his, and she was wearing my pearl earrings, the ones I had lent her last spring and never got back. To anyone else, they looked helpful, comfortable, a family friend stepping in during a stressful night. But I had designed enough wedding programs to know when a name changed the whole ceremony. I turned to the second page. The family portrait order sat under the tribute schedule. Edward and Catherine seated. Children behind. Grandchildren left. Vivian Ellis and Camille Rowe center right. My name was 3 lines lower, Vivian Ellis design table. This had been coming for months in Camille's careful texts, in Adrian's sudden concern about my mood, and Catherine saying Camille understood the tone of the family. I had noticed all of it. I had just kept fixing the cards. June shifted beside me. "Your studio is still listed as the approval contact. That's why the proof came to you." Mrs. Ellis asked if Camille could handle final review, but accounting needed a written vendor release. Paperwork had remembered me when my husband had not. "Can you print it without my approval?" I asked. June looked uncomfortable. "The client can override, but I need Catherine to sign the change form herself. I can't print it under your studio approval if you reject it." That gave me one clean boundary. Just the right to refuse my name on a lie. "Then I reject it," I said. June nodded. "I'll mark it pending." "No, mark it rejected." Her eyes lifted. "If Catherine wants it printed," I said, "she can put her name on it." From the ballroom, Camille laughed softly. Adrian glanced toward me, just long enough to check whether I was still where he had left me. I was, but the page in my hand had changed something. Before the first guest took a seat, I needed to know how long they had been writing me out of my own marriage. June walked me into the club's vendor office, a narrow room behind the service corridor. She did not close the door all the way. Smart. A private club employee did not want to look like she was picking sides. "I can show you the change thread," she said. "I can't forward internal club notes without approval." "That's fine." I meant it. I did not need June to be brave for me. I needed her to be accurate. She turned the laptop slightly. Catherine had written, "Please revise host line." "Camille has been coordinating family copy with Adrian." Camille had replied, "Cleaner if Vivian is acknowledged under design support." Less confusing for guests. Then Adrian had written the line that sat in my stomach like a stone, "Vivian already knows." Go ahead. I did not know. Or maybe some part of me had known. and kept sanding the edges off it because rough truth made bad conversation. On the corkboard, the event checklist still listed my studio Vivian Ellis paper and design. Invitations menus, place cards, welcome cards, family tribute cards, portrait schedule. I had been the contact for all of it. I had also been the person Catherine called when a name was misspelled, when Adrian forgot his father's toast, and when some family feud needed to be solved by moving 2 chairs. I had been useful. That was not the same as being loved. My phone buzzed in my clutch. Adrian, where are you? Mom needs the place cards. A year ago, I would have answered right away. That was how the Ellis family worked. They lost things, I found them. They made things awkward, I softened the room. My mother called it my gift. Adrian called it being good at details. Catherine called it knowing my lane. I had played along longer than I liked to admit. I was not blameless in every small way. When Adrian disappointed me, I said, "It's fine," then went quiet for 2 days. I became efficient. Efficiency can be cold as hell when you use it to avoid saying you are hurt. That did not put Camille in my chair. But our marriage had been chilly for a long time, and I had helped keep it looking better than it felt. I typed back, "The place cards are with me. Adrian, bring them out. Please don't start tonight." Through the office window, I saw Camille crossing the ballroom with champagne flutes, though no one had asked her to serve drinks. She moved like someone who had practiced belonging. Adrian leaned down when she spoke to him, not much, just enough. A photographer stood near the fireplace checking a clipboard. "Who gave him the portrait list?" I asked. "Catherine sent it. We printed it for him at the front desk." "Can I see it?" "My name is on the event file," I said when June hesitated. "I'm asking to see the version being used tonight." She pulled a printed list from a folder and laid it in front of me. Adrian Ellis and Camille Rowe, center right. Vivian Ellis design table optional candids. I laughed once before I could stop myself. My phone buzzed again. "Adrian, Vivian, don't make tonight harder than it needs to be." They had made something hard, and they wanted me to carry it quietly through a ballroom full of people admiring the flowers. I picked up the box of place cards. "I am not approving that program," I said. "If Catherine signs the override, that's on her." June nodded. "Yes, ma'am. When the photographer asks where people stand, let him use the list he was given. Don't fix it for them." That could get awkward. "It already is." When I stepped back into the corridor, Camille saw me first. Her smile opened too fast. "There you are," she said. "We were worried." I held the place cards against my chest. "I found a few errors," I said. Her eyes flicked to the folder in my hand. "Only half a second." But I had built my life around half seconds. "Anything serious?" Camille asked. I looked past her toward Adrian. "Names," I said. "Mostly names." By 6:30, the ballroom had filled with voices that never rose above good manners. Catherine stood near the entrance in a pale blue silk suit, accepting compliments like posture alone had kept her marriage intact. Edward sat by the fireplace, sweet-faced and slightly overwhelmed. I moved from table to table with the place cards checking names and seating. No one thanks you for a seating chart. They only notice when it goes wrong. At the family table, my place card was missing. There was a card beside Adrian, Camille Rowe. The ink was my dark green, the paper was my cream stock, and the calligraphy copied my sample sheet. But I had not written that card. I found my own card near the small round table by the side wall, where vendors and late editions usually sat. Vivian Ellis, no title, no relation. The card was bent at one corner. "Vivian," Adrian's voice came from behind me. I turned with the card still in my hand. He looked handsome in the way strangers trusted at dinners. Clean suit-controlled hair, easy face. "You disappeared," he said. "I was working." His eyes dropped to the card. He saw the table behind me. "I think Mom changed some seating at the last minute." "Did she?" "You know how she gets." I waited. He hated waiting. "She's trying to keep the evening smooth," he said. "Smooth for who?" His jaw moved. "Viv." Camille approached with 2 champagne flutes. She handed one to Adrian without asking. He took it. A habit. One person knowing what another wanted before they asked. I had been that person for years. Camille turned to me with the second glass. You should drink something. I'm still working. You're always working. She touched my arm. That's what worries people. She smiled soft and sorry. Everyone knows you've been under a lot of pressure. A little fence was being built around me. Just enough to make me look unstable if I pushed back. Adrian looked toward the entrance. This isn't the time, he said. For what? For making every detail personal. I looked at the card in my hand, then at Camille's beside his plate. You moved me to the side wall. That's personal enough. Before Adrian could answer, Catherine's voice rose near the entrance. Camille, dear, come here. I want the Whitcombs to meet you. Camille glanced at Adrian. He gave her the smallest nod, and she crossed the room. Catherine placed a hand at Camille's back and guided her toward an older couple in linen. This is Camille Rowe, Catherine said. She has been such a blessing to Adrian this year. A blessing to Adrian. The sentence hung there sweet and poisonous. Beside me, Adrian shifted. Don't do that, he said. Do what? Make faces. I'm standing still. You're looking for a fight. I found a place card. His face tightened. You're tired, he said. Mom said you've been overwhelmed. Your mother moved my seat. She adjusted the seating. And Camille? She's helping. She's sitting next to you. Because she's giving the photography notes. You know that. I know she's wearing my earrings. That hit him wrong. His eyes moved to Camille before he could stop himself. Too late. I set my bent place card on the table. Adrian looked relieved too soon, so I leaned closer. Tell her to give them back before the photos. His face changed not much but enough. The vendor office was empty when I returned. My hands were steady until I closed the door. Then the box of place cards slid against my ribs, and I had to set it down before I dropped it. I pressed both palms to the desk and lowered my head just for a moment. The printer clicked behind me. I breathed through my nose. No crying in rooms with doors that did not lock. That rule had entered my marriage quietly. June had left the printed change request on the desk. I read it again. Catherine wanted the host line revised because Camille had been coordinating family copy with Adrian. Camille had written that it would be cleaner if Vivian was acknowledged under design support, less confusing for guests. Adrian had replied, Vivian already knows. Go ahead. Cleaner. Less confusing. Go ahead. That was how people like Catherine did it. They did not say erase her. They said cleaner. They did not say replace the wife. They said less confusing. I opened my phone and searched my messages with Camille. 3 weeks earlier, she had come by the studio with iced coffee. Adrian and I had fought that morning over dishes bills his mother and the way he went quiet when I asked where he had been. Camille had said, You look wiped. I had said I'm tired of being on display as the perfect Ellis wife. There it was. My own words. Not permission, but enough for a dirty person to use. I took a screenshot. Then I opened the picture folder for the anniversary slideshow. I had the original images because I had prepared the first draft. One photo showed Adrian and me under the live oak at the oyster roast 2 summers ago, with Camille several feet away holding her camera. The version in the current slideshow had cropped me out. I printed them original and current. Then I printed the approved portrait list from last month, the one with Adrian and Vivian Ellis center right. Under it, I placed the version June had shown me, the one with Adrian Ellis and Camille Rowe center right, and Vivian Ellis at the design table for optional candids. I clipped everything together. No hacking, no grand access, no magic file opening at the perfect second. Just paper. Paper had always been my job. My phone buzzed again. Camille, are you okay? You seemed tense. I'm here if you need me. I stared at the message, then typed nothing. Someone knocked. I put the folder under my arm. Yes. June opened the door. Catherine is asking about the programs. She signed the override. No. Then they're not approved. Before either of us could say more, Catherine appeared behind her. We need the programs now, Catherine said. They're rejected under my studio approval. Her smile froze. Excuse me. If you want them printed, sign the override. This is a family event. It's also my studio name on the approval line. Catherine glanced at June. Print them. June held her clipboard tighter. Mrs. Ellis, I can print with your written override. It's club policy. That was the whole difference. Not loyalty, policy. Catherine turned back to me. You are embarrassing yourself. No, I'm making you sign your own work. Behind Catherine, Camille stood in the hall with one hand against the doorframe. Adrian came up beside her. For a moment, the three of them filled the doorway like a portrait already arranged, and me inside the workroom holding the papers they thought I would fix. Catherine sent June away with one look. The door stayed open. That was deliberate. A closed door would have looked like confrontation. An open one made it my job to stay polite. Adrian stepped into the room first. Camille stayed in the doorway. Viv, he said, can we not do this tonight? Do what? Turn a program mistake into a crisis. A mistake doesn't move a wife out of the family table. Camille shifted. It was never meant to hurt you. I looked at her, then really looked. My pearl earrings sat against her neck. I had worn them at my rehearsal dinner. Camille had danced barefoot beside me that night and cried during my vows. I haven't said what hurt me, I said. She swallowed. Catherine folded her hands. Vivian Edward cannot handle tension tonight. This dinner matters to him. It matters to me too. Yes, but you are upset right now. Upset. A neat little label. It made evidence look like mood. It made pain look like bad timing. I opened the folder and took out the portrait lists. Who changed this? Catherine did not look at the paper. The photographer needed a clearer order. Who gave it to him? Camille stepped in. I sent notes. That's all. You sent notes that put you beside my husband. I was trying to help with the layout. The layout. Viv, you said yourself you were tired of being displayed like the perfect wife. You said you were tired of pretending. I believed you. There it was. Take one true sentence a woman says on a bad day, dress it up, then use it to climb into her place. Adrian stepped closer. You did say that. I said I was tired. I said. I didn't say, put Camille next to my husband. Catherine's voice went cold. That is enough. I looked at her. You mean shut up. Adrian reached for the folder and I pulled it back fast. Don't touch it. You're not thinking clearly. I laughed once. There it is. Camille said, please don't do this to Edward. To Edward. He loves you. If you drag this into the ballroom, you'll hurt him. Then sign the clean version, I said to Catherine. Put me where I was. Fix the host line. Use the approved list. Adrian leaned closer. You really want to do this in front of everyone? You put it in front of everyone. His good husband face slipped. This is why people don't tell you things he said. You turn everything into a damn investigation. No, you lied in writing. Catherine stepped in. Every woman in this family has swallowed something to keep a room together. That's sad. That is marriage. No, that's a bad dinner with better flowers. Adrian lowered his voice. We were unhappy, Viv. You know that. Yes, that stopped him. You're right about some of it, I said. I went quiet. I said I was fine when I wasn't. I made the house feel cold, and I know I did. His face softened, almost hopeful. But being tired of your wife is not permission to move another woman into her seat. Catherine took the override form from June's desk. If I sign this, the program's print. Yes, I said, under your approval. And you think that scares me? No, I think you hate owning things out loud. She looked at me for a long second, then set the form down without signing it. Guests are waiting, she said. Yes, I said. They are. The first half of dinner moved with the stiff grace of people eating around a secret. Edward told a story about a flat tire in 1976, and everyone laughed at the right places because the room loved him. That made it harder. He was gentle, a little forgetful, and when he saw me standing near the side table, he waved me over like I still belonged. Vivian, he said. Did you write those little cards? The storm story. I did. He smiled. You made me sound braver than I was. That was Catherine's request. He touched my hand. You always knew how to keep us civilized. For a second, anger became grief. Being useful had been the only seat they kept saving for me. Across the table, Catherine watched us. Adrian sat beside Camille. No one had moved her card. The final programs had not been printed, but the proof copies still sat on the service table face down. After dessert plates were cleared, the photographer approached Catherine with his clipboard. Mrs. Ellis, he said, we're ready for family portraits. Catherine stood. Wonderful. Everyone, if we can gather near the fireplace. Chairs scraped softly. The photographer looked at his clipboard. Edward and Catherine seated first. Children behind them. Grandchildren to the left. He paused. Adrian Ellis and Camille Rowe center right. A fork touched a plate somewhere behind me. The sound was small. It reached every corner of the room. Adrian moved at once. That's old. We changed it. The photographer looked confused. This is the list I was given at the desk. Catherine laughed lightly. Just a mix-up. Vivian, dear, would you help correct this? Even now, standing beside the woman they had put in my place, they expected me to fix the mess. Camille looked down, face arranged into embarrassment. I can step out, she said. But she did not step. Adrian turned toward me. Viv, please. I walked to the side table and picked up my folder. Catherine's smile tightened. There's no need for paperwork, she said. I agree. I removed the approved portrait list from last month and handed it to the photographer. This is the version I approved. He looked at it. This one has you beside Mr. Adrian. Yes. Adrian said Vivian asked not to be centered tonight. I turned to him. Show me where I wrote that. He looked annoyed. It was a conversation. When his mouth opened. When Adrian, Camille stepped in. You told me you hated pretending to be the perfect wife. I did, I said. I said I hated pretending. I did not say you could take my place. Camille's face tightened. Adrian said, our marriage has been complicated. Vivian has had a hard time accepting that. That sentence reached for me. It wanted me to become the woman in his version. I pulled one page from the folder. The change request, not the whole thread. Just the one line that mattered. Then why did you write this? Adrian's face changed. I read it once. Vivian already knows. Go ahead. The room turned toward him. Edward leaned forward in his chair. Adrian tried to speak. Nothing useful came out. I read the line again, slower. Vivian already knows. Go ahead. Camille whispered, I thought he told you. You thought wrong, I said. Or you didn't care enough to check. Catherine stepped forward. This is a private family matter. No, I said. You put it on a program. That landed harder than I expected because everyone could see the proof copies sitting on the service table. I picked one up and turned it around. Adrian Ellis and Camille Rowe on behalf of the Ellis family. At the bottom, special thanks to Vivian Ellis for design assistance. A woman near the back whispered, Oh my God. Adrian said, This is humiliating. Yeah, I said, It is. I kept my voice steady. It's humiliating to see your husband put another woman beside his name and then call you dramatic for reading the page. It's humiliating to have your own work used to move you out of your own marriage. And it's pretty damn insulting to be told you're too sensitive by the people who needed you to proofread the lie. The room stayed quiet. Not silent in a movie way. Quiet like people were embarrassed to breathe. Then I took out the 2 photos and handed them to Edward. Original, I said. He looked at the first photo. Adrian and me under the live oak. Camille several feet away with her camera. Current, I said. He looked at the second photo. I was gone. The crop made Adrian look like he had been standing alone, smiling toward Camille. Edward stared at the pictures for a long time. Then he looked at Catherine. Did you know? Catherine did not answer. That was answer enough. I turned to Camille. You can keep the earrings, I said. But stop saying you were helping. Edward moved slowly to the family table. He picked up the place card beside Adrian's plate and looked at it. Camille Rowe. His hand shook a little when he handed it to Adrian. Take this off the table, he said. Now. Adrian took the card because everyone watched him take it. That was the first honest thing he had done all night. I left before the corrected portrait was taken. Not because I was afraid to stand in it, because I no longer wanted a place in a picture that required proof before anyone admitted I belonged there. In the hallway, June caught up with me near the coat room. She held my folder. You left this. Thank you. The programs won't go out, she said. I nodded. And for what it's worth, I'm sorry. I appreciated that she did not make a speech out of it. Outside, the night air off the river was cold enough to make my lungs work. Through the windows, people moved inside the ballroom, slow and unsure now. My phone buzzed before I reached my car, then buzzed again and again. Adrian, Camille, Catherine. I turned the phone face down on the passenger seat and sat behind the wheel until my hands stopped shaking. The next morning, Catherine sent a message to the Ellis family group chat. Edward and I want to apologize for the confusion and hurt caused last night. The printed materials and portrait list did not reflect the truth of Adrian and Vivian's marriage. Vivian was put in an unfair position, and I regret my part in allowing that. It was not perfect. It was not enough. But it was more truth than Catherine usually put in writing. I read it once, then muted the group. At 11, Adrian came to the studio. I was taking down framed Ellis samples one by one, wrapping each in brown paper, before placing them in a flat file drawer. You're taking everything down? He asked. I'm archiving old work. Don't do that. Do what? Talk like this is business. I looked up. You made me the vendor. I'm using the language. My father won't speak to me. My mother is a mess. She put it in writing. That's a start. He stepped farther inside. Camille got dropped from the club's preferred photographer list. 2 brides called her, asking if it was true. He seemed to expect pity. Maybe guilt. Maybe the old Vivian who would start cleaning up the mess before anyone asked. What do you want me to do with that? I said. His mouth tightened. You really don't care. I cared when she was my friend. She is a person, Viv. So was I. That stopped him. You know what people are saying? He said. What are they saying? He stared at me. That we had an affair. Did you? His mouth closed. It wasn't like you think, he said. Don't use that sentence on me. His jaw flexed. We were unhappy. Yes. You pulled away. I did. He blinked. I pulled away, I said. I shut down. I said I was fine, and then punished you for believing me. I made the house look better than it felt. His face softened. Then you understand. No, the word cut him off. I understand the part that belongs to me. I do not understand you putting Camille in my chair and letting your mother call me emotional for noticing. He looked down. I didn't mean for it to happen this way. I picked up the portrait list from the counter and held it out to him. Then which way did you mean? He did not take it. You did not leave. You did not tell me the truth. You let your mother arrange my replacement in a family portrait, then said, I already knew. His face changed when I said replacement. What happens now? He asked. I picked up another frame. You can tell people yourself. I'm not writing it for you. He stood there a moment longer. Then he left. At noon, June stopped by with a small package. Camille had returned my pearl earrings through her. I opened the box, looked at the small pearls, then closed it again. Do you want them? June asked. No, I said, but I don't need to throw them away today. I placed the box in the drawer with the Ellis samples not hidden, not displayed. Then I locked the drawer. The studio looked bigger once the Ellis samples came down. For years, I told myself they belonged on the wall because they showed my best work. The paper was beautiful. The ink sat exactly right on the cream stock. Clients pointed at them and said they wanted something with that same feeling. I never said the feeling had cost me more than ink. A week after the anniversary dinner, I came in early before the first appointment. Morning light touched the blank spaces where the frames had been. In the flat file drawer, the Ellis family anniversary suite sat wrapped in brown paper. I had written the date on the outside in pencil, not because I wanted to remember the dinner, but because I was done pretending my life had no records. I had not been easy to live with every day. I knew that. I went quiet when I should have talked. I made, "I'm fine," do too much work. That part was mine. But it was not permission. It did not give Adrian the right to put Camille in my chair. It did not give Catherine the right to turn my marriage into a seating arrangement. It did not give anyone the right to call me difficult for reading the page they hoped I would proofread. After my first client left, I pulled a fresh sheet of white card from the drawer. I mixed a small pool of dark green ink, then stopped. For 12 years, that color had belonged to them. I cleaned the nib and opened a bottle of black. The first stroke came out uneven. My hand was tired. I let it be tired. Then, I wrote my name the way I had signed it before I became Mrs. Adrian Ellis, Vivian Mercer Studio. There was no family crest, no borrowed tradition, no line explaining who I belonged to. Just my name, dark and clear, on white paper. I placed it in the front window where the Ellis anniversary sample had been. That evening, I stayed late to finish a set of backyard wedding cards. Adrian called once. I watched the phone buzz until it stopped. There would be lawyers eventually. Boxes, keys, signatures, explanations for people who liked simpler stories. Healing was not going to make me graceful every day. I was done asking pain to behave. I finished the final place card, set it on the drying rack, and turned off the work lamp. For years, I had carried the Ellis family inside my calendar, my handwriting, my memory, my manners. I had helped them look like a better family than they were. Now, I was learning the shape of my own life without arranging myself around theirs. I locked the studio door and stood on the sidewalk for a moment. Behind the glass, my new card waited in the window. Vivian Mercer Studio. The letters were simple. They did not ask anyone to approve them. I touched the key in my palm, slipped it into my coat pocket, and walked home under the old live oaks while the evening settled around me without asking me to fix a single thing.